Okay, let's make a start. So we finished off yesterday at quite an interesting juncture. It seems that there is something being kept under wraps. The question is, what is that? We shall soon find out. Say hello to my little friend. The first question is, can I remember what kind of voices I gave to people? Excellent work, Kronosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight to be sure, but before I knew it, you started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Eh? Miss Giselle Brett. A student from Great Britain, is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I am sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up... Bang. I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me in some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective. He apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Here's that. Professor Megatoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour of Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma! Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing early this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that the pair of you will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck.
Thank you!
Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need.
Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama.
Defendant Naruhodo! Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow, before these old fossils know what's hit them.
Kazuma?
What? Thank you. Really. What for?
Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already been found guilty by now.
Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend.
Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, we're fucked! Not really. He's really gonna give up his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. Haha. Say hello to my little friend. The court hereby resumes the trial of Rinosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Aochi, have you managed to Thank you. Have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry.
Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about.
It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation's founders? Nation founders? Again, terribly sorry.
If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Rinosuke.
What do you mean?
A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England?
Shut up, you jumped up Rocky boy! You and your friend know nothing! Nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in! By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and who could arguably study harder, too? But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there is one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Runosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brats! Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett. Yes. Your Excellency! Ew. Well then. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea? Someone bring English tea? In England, no discussions would take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru I have been working undercover as the head waiter at the Canada. Yes, yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today, you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh, yeah, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Runosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please? I wonder if I played it in Japanese, would that appear English?
I doubt it, because it's not hiragana or katakana.
Nope, it's just gibberish. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but... what? The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in Yume University's medical faculty. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it's as beautiful as a hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. What language are we talking now? The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says yes.
This could take some time.
So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately.
Bullshit.
Interesting. When you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say... Yes. It would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Well, fuck! Order! Order in court! Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beef steak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. No one said you were! Do you have a guilty conscience or something? Yes! This is condemning testimony indeed. No! I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all! Objection! Quiet, you filthy wretch! Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard! And look at this snow-white angel! I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before, and reported back to the Bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so. On the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. Hat. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. Grr, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that. Which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency. Yes, very good. I had arranged for each that seems okay. Professor wasn't able to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beef steak. Let's press that a little bit.
Yes!
Yes, sir. He was unable to eat, you say? And that would be because he just had a tooth removed at Hotta Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering? Was Miss Brett aware of the fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left? Dear me, what a harrowing experience. To have travelled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right. Other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes. The professor was unable to eat, so he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? It's very meaningful, maybe. That looks more like a wine bottle.
Yeah, but it could be. There's only one glass.
There is only one glass, yes. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing, The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well sidestepped, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to the official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. I ordered a beefsteak for myself, and the professor and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. I think not.
Yes!
Objection! That's it! Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd. Very odd. Dear me, what's odd is the defense's inability to express itself.
Inosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you?
Well, obviously, it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1.
Ah! You're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass printed here.
Pictured here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutiae? 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 It's an interesting one.
Tiny things.
Yes. What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case?
Objection!
Minutiae, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Oh. Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try to tell me that you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table.
Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table.
What?
It was all so terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all, she's saying. That's pretty suspicious. Good gracious!
Sorry. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. Oh, please. We must remember that this student has just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or 2 in her state of disarray? That's absurd. Oh, really? So do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable young and beautiful woman of mischief? What? No, this can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying.
A handbag, you say?
Yes, Your Excellency. A small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the table from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. Yes, because logical reasoning is forbidden. No more pretentious accusations, you have wasted enough time already.
Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed the glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on this case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement?
No. Well, I don't know really.
If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that there is some deeper significance.
Yeah, you're right. So she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's deeper significance there, it's the handbag. Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what if she forgot to mention? What she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Of course I'm right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. You knew it as well, and you left me hanging. Fuck's sake, man. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't seriously be suggesting... Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. No! Order! 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 Please shut up! What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor Ouchie? Why on earth did you not have the lady open up her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting, simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never! You can see right through to what's inside! Not a very good handbag, if I do say so myself. Good. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. And also a good reason for people to steal. So the contents are clearly visible. Whose idea was that? Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. Ah. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Oh, shit. Order! Order! Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness counsel. Let's have a look at that picture. Not really sure if this will be useful now or later. It's an interesting symbol. Looks like a bull's head upside down. Could there be something like that here? Question mark? No. Maybe later. Fuck. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over on the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator for this crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat while the strong eat. You were wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about the last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis that we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems it will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That's smug a little. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you... Yes! Wait, Your Excellency! Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet. Attention! This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Yes! Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on this case at this time would be out of the question. This is blatant straw clutching. Just look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect.
Showing up on the street.
Taking it safe. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. I'm gonna go with that thing right there. The hell is that?
Yes!
Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Attention!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come about with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark. You're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did it tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of the mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn will have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door right open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed. I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence... evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the colour draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? But I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn mark really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. Well, it's definitely not that. Some kind of pin here, maybe? Aha! There it is.
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further would really be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is this in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn? It's right there, of course.
Yes!
The beef steak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Ah! Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnival. Ah. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryunosuke, you genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other related point in time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Aochi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosanaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, just as the victim just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
There you have it, something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosanaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right, and the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeants and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Aochi? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it, Ryunosuke. Do you think... Can it really be true? Was it done after the murder? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson had a nurse was asleep, was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! Order, please! Counsel, explain this notion at once. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Archie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered the burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But Your Excellency! The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese?
I do.
Apparently we're speaking Japanese now. Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. Okay, it's settled. Here comes the Queen's English. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all at your own level. How disappointing. Oh well, you're the epitome of the true English gentlewoman. We are... Epitome, there you go. We are truly honoured by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryosuke. Oops.
Which is why flasks are better than cans.
Yes. That's only because this thing slipped off. Whereas they don't do that on cans. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man's burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glass in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Ooh, she threw down the gauntlet. Is that a challenge, biatch? That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that this is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone.
Everyone.
No, just the entirety of Japan. Not at all, not at all. It's a delight to merely hear you speak, dear lady. As it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Question mark? Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. The victim's death. Let's put you over here now. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man's burnt wrist is like that. Okay. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast.
Yes!
But there was only one glass. Never mind. As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember, which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although, whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak at the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. Ah, I have enough English to understand that at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means, bless you. Muppet. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. So as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. I know. Nothing there immediately.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And there was no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death. It can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. But if it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out of the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point. And yet the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right. Gah. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
Yes!
This is probably where we have to present something. Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale signs on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how you exactly think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet innocent lady innocence into question? On my honor, I, Taketsuchi Ouchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. Got it. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I don't know. I think this could be hard work. She can speak Japanese brilliantly, but she doesn't seem to want to say very much. The more she says, the more she's likely to give away. This English woman knows only too well. She is quite formidable. Dr. Wilson's burn tells us something, I'm sure. I need to use this cross-examination to find out what. First things first, I'm going to press her on everything she said and try to make her blurt something out. What is it, Kazuma? What are you thinking? Oh, don't worry. It's nothing. I'm going to present you that glass.
Yes!
Uh-oh. Let's try pressing more.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once, and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right, Le Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I am trying to be as tactful as I can about this as I can, you understand. Aha! A killer blow! The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting to our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchi is finally starting to see sense. Very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Britt just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. There is one thing I noticed. Something's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes. He seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If I might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing on that last image one more time. If you think so, but this time instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what customers think.
Yes! Wait.
Vital evidence may be lost. Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find that they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him, he's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Inosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment we're focused on Miss Brett, with the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left with A and D, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with space. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with AD and focus on the detective, then pursue him with space and see what's on his mind. Here we go!
Wait. Excuse me.
Excuse me. God, what's the meaning of this? Excuse me. What? I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. Hmm? The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he is intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Yes, if you don't mind. I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those in Great Britain, which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I am not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that... This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming. I guarantee it. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water in evidence. Miss Brett, can you confirm that this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Definitely not Chateau Aubryon 1959. Magnificent wine. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. I wonder, could there be anything in this water?
Yes!
Here we go. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order! 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 Or should I go with John Burko? Order! 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 that's going to be the thing for now. I'm going to switch the judge into John Burko now, if I can mimic him. And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Giselle Brett, it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous. Just the thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have once only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one's individual guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Grr. If I may.
Shut up!
Oof. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady! Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady, to what are you referring? Damn it. I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Uh-oh. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? Well, fuck. I strive for a flawless investigation every time. So it's in the glass then? I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. This country. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the Chief Coroner himself. No. No! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, Counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. No, it's not! We've already proven that, you idiots! I like how the justice systems always go along the fact of this is what we believe at first. I know it can't be that because we have this evidence saying that it can't be that. It must be this. Oh yes, so you do. But then we can't follow it all the way through to the end. So you go, oh, well, that must be wrong then. So our initial wrong thing must be correct. Logic. Furthermore, the accused who by his own admission was holding this weapon is the only possible culprit. I'm going to have to watch some more John Burko just so I can get his voice down. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologise for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceedings, I must ask the counsel for the defence. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Rinosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Hello there. please, wait. Isn't that? What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikatoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikatoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. To be continued. Yes. Save it there and continue. See if we can finish this case off. Good year. Say hello to my little friend.
Pretend to drink wine and drink it out of a wine glass.
I can just go, Chateau Aubryon, you live since I got love. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha! A judicial assistant? And a woman, no less. Sexist asshole. True. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I asked for only 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. Damn it. But, Your Excellency! I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. A report about something, written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? Never heard that word before. Rolly. Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on this note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Giselle's report entered into the court record. Let's check it immediately. A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Routes of entry: the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such that it has been inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Well, there you go! There's your evidence! And you, my dear lady, are fucked. You have had long enough, counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but prosecution made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Yunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer? It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett, but it seems I wasn't clear. I realized it was phrased as a question. However, the Honourable Lady I must ask you to treat this as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, Counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention?
Yes!
Yes, sir. Miss Giselle Brett, we understand that you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University, doing research. Research by sheer coincidence, perhaps into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin known as curare. Curare, probably. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death. What complete and utter nonsense? Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before because of one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? Correct, which means no matter what test the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order! Order! Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report, authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has been long used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery! These aspersions are utterly trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. That is true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Not possible. Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. Because it paralyzes you. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. A full explanation is still extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? Breathing. In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous! To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Council, actually contains this terrifying poison? This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. If I may. All these facts. You think you're so clever, but you must be... There we go. It is you who must be taught. Of course. Dear lady! So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? Nani? You steal another's honest work and then announce the results as if you discovered them? I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree? Enough of this! I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great Empire of Japan is breaking the rules. What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency? Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? She's gonna drink from it. Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry. To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics. It's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no curare. The bottle was clean, is what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Grr. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency? Yes, Miss Brett. I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Ah, yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you've given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in the bottle. It was in the fucking glass. So how did she? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Mirsky. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains no poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Mirsky? Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your unadulterated naivete really astounds me. But sometimes it's in need of a good staining. Until it's as dark as your uniform in the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? That was a guileless ending to a promising line of inquiry, Counsel, for which you will be penalized. Okay, interesting. The culprit did put curare poison into Dr. Rustin's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. But it's not in the bottle.
Objection!
So why are we getting penalized for that? Fool! Are you blind? There is no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right. Which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. Hang on a minute. Ah, that's why. Because it didn't enter through a wound. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to... Hang on. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed? Well, that of course.
Yes!
It's either this or the burn mark. The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
That's not a valid explanation. No? After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone. Honest, I'm just reading Sasato's hand's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, Counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? I believe it's the special characteristics now. Yep. We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot with whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please! But if they were to use those laced arrows, doesn't that mean that there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Counsel. No, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see. That makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When curare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew curare's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... Rapscallion! Well, Nuske, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
Objection!
All of this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Good schoolboyish flaw. As even your brain has managed to deduce, curare is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric sucus. Oh, gastric sucus. Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? No, that's not the problem, though. He had a fucking wound on his wrist. But then, if he was already dead, the burn would have been useless. I see. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? Because he would be burned while the poison is being administered, so he wouldn't be paralyzed yet, so he would be screaming in anger, or agony.
No, I think it was instantaneous effect. So if the poison was on the thing that burned him, for example.
That is possible, yes. Order! Order in the court! Order! The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest? Yes, this curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. Bring me my tea and crumpets immediately. What is this? Welling up inside me. I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
There we go. I don't think so, Miss Giselle Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well that there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and your victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, you must provide compelling evidence, as we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the curare? Because of his fucking thing.
Take that!
Take that. That's the thing I shown. Ah. I see. Take that.
Take that!
As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? So the burn on the wrist doesn't really come into it. That's just purely him burning his wrist when he was dead. Just proving that he was indeed dead. Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Oh! Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. Ah. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Hehehe. Is she
Crazy?
laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are so puerile. What do you mean? This is where the glass comes in. Don't worry, little schoolboy, you'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No. I mean, it could just slip. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. So she willingly just tampered with evidence in court. She can instantly be locked up for that. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible at once. Oh yeah, don't friggin' arrest the person who just tampered with evidence immediately. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there was really poison in the bottle or not. You. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I'm assuming, dear lady. That's right. And really looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So of course, the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy. No, you killed the victim that day, using curare. And then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. This guy's a fucking idiot.
The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Yeah, this guy's a fucking idiot.
This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now... Is she really going to get away with it?
She's just destroyed valuable evidence in front of the prosecution. The prosecution's like, nope, he did it. He did it. Inconsequential. Doesn't mean shit.
The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene.
Ryunosuke.
Yes? We've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it is true. But if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan in her head. So think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every colour, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every colour. Blood? Because there's no exit wound, the only way there could be blood there is if blood came out of his wound after he was shot in front of him, and then he was turned around after. Maybe. You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then, let's wipe that smug smile off that English woman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait. We'll get on with it then. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it could be the key to the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. The clue that shows us who the real...
Take that!
Inspector Osanaga, answer me this. Yes, what is it? He's still miles away. Probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day.
Objection!
Wait a minute! Where are you going? Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh really? And what of it? Obviously that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph, and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way the blood from the victim could be directly behind him. Ah. Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter, which implies the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor as you were. Giselle Brett! I beg your pardon?
Objection!
This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing?
Hold it!
This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector,
You mean... Yes, I took the plate, in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it, now! Because in the picture you can't see if it's been eaten, but the other picture has been eaten from. The court wishes to examine the plates from the victim's tables immediately. Yes, sir? Sorry for the delay. Here is what you ordered, the steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there any blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man, show the court. Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. No. No blood. No blood anywhere. But no. That's impossible! No, it's completely logical. I know I saw it. I sure of it. Because that's the steak that he ordered, but he couldn't eat it. Probably. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Racist. Tisk, I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire. He's going to defect to Britain, isn't he? Otherwise he's going to be lynched for that. He's going to be lynched by the Japanese mafia for that. Not the mafia, the friggin' what they're called. Paparazzi. There we go.
Paparazzi?
Probably.
Paparazzi are photographers.
Slash journalists.
But
He's going to get lynched. There we go. I believe we may have finally reached a conclusion in this trial. No, we haven't. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempted courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget about it all when it's over. Ha! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. Okay, I shall do. Was the plate I saw, or thought I saw, just a figment of my imagination? No, let's find out. That's what I'm thinking, because you can't see this section. Oh, hello. What in the world is this? I think it's a Caban coin. And the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe.
is the captain's steak.
No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Caban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks like it could be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time I've heard there's been talk of a Hoei Caban. I've heard of pills before swine, but I've never heard of bullion in bouillon. Bouillon? Bouillon? Bullion in bouillon, yep. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... I certainly never expected to find a precious coin beneath this thick cut of meat. And it's from the Hoei era, too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in juices as well, look. What do you think? Are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Rinosuke. Cabane coin underneath the steak. There's only one logical explanation. Minosuke, it's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what. Believe in myself. Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. Done. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? Yes. That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beef steak. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. Well, at least he's a good judge. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of steak is the new clue to be found? Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Cabane coin. We've already checked it. Yes, we've already seen this already. Blah, 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 blah. Get on with it. Bullion in bouillon. Lul. Right fucking there. A Cabane coin underneath this steak. There's only one logical explanation. It's right there.
Got it!
I pressed the wrong button. Good gracious, that's... Cabane? What on earth? A Hoei Ero one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat? What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
Objection!
I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction.
Objection!
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoei Cabane just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency! Yes, Counsel. A rare Hoei Cabane just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up this lawyer job right now.
Objection!
By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway. What a dick. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Wow. Even though I am the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under the stake. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person who it can belong to. The owner of the caban that was found underneath the beefsteak was this man.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kyoryo Korokoto-san. Kyori? As in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that there was up to something in this caban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment the gun was fired. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Huayera Caban, my prized coin! Then this Huayera Caban, do you mean to tell me?
Objection!
No, please, why would Korokoto-san's caban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense. But it's there. Why is it there? That's the fucking question.
Yes!
Which is why I'm asking to bring Korokoto-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him! You muppet! Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. I can't believe we come back round to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this caban, we'll find out that it's the key elements in this case. What's this all about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realise that it's dinner time for my little baby Ido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man in a trice. A worthless withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop owner's existence. Be that as it may, Korokoto-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves, have you ever seen it? Wow! That's it! The one! The very exact one that it is! Ouch. The resplendent, splendiferous, holy treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day! It can't be. As I thought. Young man! Enlighten this decrepit old fool, put me out of my misery! Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices. Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoei treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate? Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing! Well, that person right next to you, obviously. Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier on the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah yes, that's right, the secret undercover operation. La Carnival is a high-class restaurant, Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes. I took on the job of a waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Caban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of similar crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Kurokuto-san's Caban is all too clear. What? What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Kurokuto-san's Caban and hid it under the steak? Well, it was obviously her. Considering it was her steak.
Was it?
Must have been. Couldn't have been hers because he couldn't eat it.
Not what I meant. What about the general?
That is true.
Because the guy said he picked up 2 plates.
And there would be no blood on his plate.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you, Sergeant Iasa Noza. What? How dare you? You monster! Monster? I stole that Caban, did I? I'm the master thief of the Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido. Ido was the mastermind behind all this. Uh-oh. You would push blame for the crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Noza. You disgust me. Du widest mich an.
Please tell me he's not gonna test her.
Nippon Imperial Army. Sergeant Yasunoza preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Meow. 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 Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those who expects to keep its country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place, and I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I go there to do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. Sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man and his Caban. Yes, sir. It was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak. I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. I'd too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time? Well, Miss Brett... Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all.
In fact, she destroyed evidence and she's a murderess.
Exactly. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused reconciliation. She destroyed evidence in the court! Why would you allow her to leave? Indeed. No, not indeed. Arrest her for tampering with evidence, you fools! The theft of the caban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. Yes. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Smashed bottle! Just saying. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of steak? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Well... Oof. And as for picking up your steak and biting it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for the
I've been actually looking at her plate.
She destroyed evidence in front of you. How can you have no further justification for detaining her? Miss Brett, you are free to... She destroyed... Man, I'm just going on. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. You're not scared. What's the matter with you? There's no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... Something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. Can't quite work it out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like to ask you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Objection!
What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Rinosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of steak? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. As for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What you said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. Did it? A knife and fork was used. It's right there.
Take that!
The photographic prints of the scene taken immediately after the incident occurred. What's interesting is the plates of steak that you can see on the victim's table. The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. The Not true. Doesn't something about this steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Notice what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a good look at his steak, in particular the edge where it's been eaten. This didn't occur to you guys earlier, where the fact that he can't be eating at all. Why is this even a surprise?
It's not the doctor's steak, it's the army guys.
I know.
Herbs.
I know, but
So
what
he couldn't have eaten.
I know, but what I'm saying is that steak was on his table. So why are they thinking that's his steak? It couldn't have been his steak because he couldn't eat it. So obviously it wasn't his steak to begin with.
They weren't thinking it was his steak, they were thinking it was her steak.
Fair enough. Point taken. Athena, did you pick up on the fact that this person destroyed evidence and isn't being detained for it? Because I got pissed off for that as well. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Ah. Oh. Ah! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claimed, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all. And this guy's a fucking idiot. It's like, we've proven one way that it could be this, but he's like, nope, doesn't mean anything, not consequential, nope, doesn't matter, you did it, you're the murderer. Even though she just destroyed evidence that could potentially incriminate her, he's like, nope, doesn't matter, not important. But what is your actual point? Perhaps that delightful Miss Brett was... Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course, this will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Just leave it.
Just destroying the underside of the sofa.
Ah, that's fine. I've heard enough, you irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course. Dear lady! What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She realized the catastrophic implications those teeth marks in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes, now at last, it's all come together. It's not for me. Yet. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the blood stain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared.
Because the plates were swapped.
Why didn't he bring the other plates in as well, the idiot?
He probably did.
Yeah, but why didn't he bring them both to begin with?
Because he didn't know.
I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times I have heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. She's racist. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. You can thank frickin' genius detective over there for his perfect shit, you know. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been? What? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist. This is absurd. This trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it. Well, you're a fucking idiot. I don't, but there is someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial, just to be safe. Even though I'm pretty certain who it is, I'm going to play it safe. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth of this whole affair? Him. Because he collected all the evidence.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosanaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this stake with the teeth marks. Yes? Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Noza told the court the following. I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. And as well as admitting to stealing Kurokatsu-san's coin, he told us that he'd slipped it under the steak. You watch it, cadet. I'm a supreme officer. Superior. Sergeant Noza, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Attention! Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd be mind me and handling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Noza's meal.
Attention!
But that makes no sense. Yes, it does. It makes perfect sense, you idiot. That plate was taken from the victim's table. Oh my god, this guy has no imagination whatsoever. It was swapped, you moron! Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have the opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. No, it would be an affront to you. So shut up. Well then, how do you explain this It's not a fucking paradox, Jesus guys. Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over? No, someone else did. Or did he? You did switch the plates? That would make sense. It would make sense that he would switch them. Because then he could pin the thievery. He could pin the thievery on someone else. Well, after it happened, the Clap. When I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my stake and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off for the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. There we go. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. Yes, because you'd been hurried away. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable! However, fear not, prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform, that's all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant. And her smashing a bottle in front of the court isn't. So if Sergeant Noza switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosanaga. Yes. Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. To preserve evidence, you had taken both. Ah. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot.
Shut up!
What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat? It can't have the slightest bearing on the case.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your eye out this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why this steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see that plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate there was on the table directly behind Mr. Wilson. There was a clear splattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it, the plate that you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Here is the other steak and its plate. Please, feel free to examine it. Nicely cut, too. The blood stain, it's clearly visible, look. Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. It can't be! In fact, there's only one person who could have possibly shot Mr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right. Miss Giselle Brett. It's you! Outdone by a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no! Here comes the meltdown.
Someone killed her?
Probably. Chickies. 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 Meow. What do you think, cat? Chickies? Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Briefly.
You could say that.
Most unbecoming behaviour for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life using curare. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water, because curare is unheard of here in Japan. Yes, of course. I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water and it would all be over. I would have placed the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone. And leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you had decided to come over and greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan in the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Oh, no, she couldn't possibly hide a gun anywhere. No, not at all. No. Under your skirt? So I was right. There were 2 guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor, placed where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I'd intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun, even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruto-san was the culprit and apprehended him. Are they not going to point out the fact that because he was facing the table, how the hell would he have shot him? How the hell would they have seen him shoot him? There was no time for her to turn him around. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor and his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he'd picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Your Excellency? Yes. Meow. I wonder. Meow.
Is it most likely?
Yep, there was a 0 there. Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. No.
I mean, he kind of did lead to him becoming a lawyer, so there's that, but...
Well... It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement? This can't be. Takatsuchi Ouchi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student. Looks like he's coming closer. You better start getting used to tough opposition. Ah! Unosuke Naruhodo! Right, yes? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You're the insult to the family name because you are a complete and utter moron. You've become conceited with age, Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that.
Well, he doesn't look familiar.
Nope.
Daichi pain.
1,000 millennia may pass and still the Aoji clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan.
Yeah, that's true.
This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Rinosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. I thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world, but the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring its new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it will look like I cannot yet begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. Yes. After this trial, you are to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can, absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And just do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. He doesn't want to go. I'm calling it. As for you, Rinosuke Naruhodo... Oh, yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Rinosuke Naruhodo, not guilty! Jazz hands. Jazz hands. This court is now adjourned. Well, I can safely say the first case of the first game didn't take 5 hours.
Yeah. 6.
Hmm?
It took 6 hours.
No, it wouldn't take that long.
No, literally. It's 2 hours yesterday and 4 hours today.
No, the first case of the original game.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take that long. That was 3 hours that day and nearly 3 hours today. 2 and 3, rather. Yeah, 2 and 3. So 5 hours. Can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself, made it through that horrendous trial. Runosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street, don't forget. Good afternoon, all your hard work has certainly paid off. There we go. Oh. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Ah, our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much! If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah yes, of course. Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Speaking of Mikotoba... Ah, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of a good friend. Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yuma University, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Professor Megatoba studied overseas himself, you know. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably that's when you met Dr. Wilson?
Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital.
Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before.
Well, it's a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world in science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot.
I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. It cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder.
Ah, yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but...
What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit after all.
Nope. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future. For Shanghai.
What? Shanghai?
Zelbrett will not appear in court again in this country, I'm certain of that.
What? But why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Oh. Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... But what's about all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case, somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we've signed the Friendship Treaty.
Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right.
Then as long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our government making secret agreements about her faith, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan.
I'm afraid that's for the young student. Today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her.
I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously.
But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves.
Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it.
Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink.
But, Professor... You're right. This is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not very guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest Le Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now.
To Le Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor?
Of course. Le Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go ahead and attend to the paperwork for Naruto-san's release. Oh, yes, thank you. So Giselle won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. Kazuma? Yes, Ryunosuke? I just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. Ah ha ha! I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day I'll bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. Well, come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it. For being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me. All that tense verbal combat, I never want to go through that ever again. I just did what you told me to, that's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean? That's the point. Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what's the most crucial weapon that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it? I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth, but you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick with it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom, you can be really backed into a corner, but being able to remain faithful to what you chose to believe in even then, well, it's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, you faced seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it, thoroughly your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. Sounds serious. What is? Ah, you're still here, are you? No. Oh, Inspector Osanaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. Huzzah. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Ah yes, that too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma, Professor Megatoba, Sasuto-san, who acted as my assistant for like 5 seconds. Inspector Hosanaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. He was the frigging key to this case, what are you talking about? It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through the trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. Eto. So yes, the first case takes 5 hours apparently. Give or take. But a very interesting first case, even if there are some fundamental logical flaws in there, such as why the fuck are we not
questioning this woman who deliberately broke this piece of evidence. Why is that okay? Why would she not pull for that? But never mind. We shall see what case number 2 holds for us next time. The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. Interesting. Let's just see what that is next time. Investigation Part 1. So we actually get some investigating this time. We shall see what happens. Until then, stay tuned for Part 3, where we will start episode number 2. Until then, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. This is Renzo Lightning, signing off.